The world is operating at 175% of its resource capacity today. And we are on track to be running at 200% of our resource capacity by the year 2030. There's a Native American saying, we do not inherit the land from our parents, we borrow it from our children. My name is Fawad Qureshi, and I'm an industry field CTO at Snowflake. Today's talk combines two of my passions which turn to profession: geospatial analytics and sustainability. We were discussing in the panel earlier today on how geospatial could take a huge part in managing catastrophes, managing climate change, different kind of risk factors, sea levels, whether you want to address the fishing and different other challenges that are facing our Earth. Mobility is one of our big challenges that has faced humanity. 20% of the carbon generated on this planet comes from transportation. 75% of that 20% comes from road transportation. And that's a number we need to think about. How do we plan our cities properly? Think about cars versus public transportation. If you have 50 people in 50 cars versus 50 people in one bus, what does it mean? Ed was talking about, from Space Syntax, about walkability and different kind of town planning earlier in his talk. We are in a city which is built for assuming cars as default. I live in Bracknell, 32 miles or 51 kilometers from here. It cost me 43 pounds to come here. 43 pounds for a day ticket. Certainly, the country is not encouraging public transportation. 20 years ago, diesel cars were the next best thing since sliced bread. Now, there's ULEZ tax in this city. You come and bring in the diesel car into the town, you pay tax. What's our approach to urban mobility in the city? Let's paint a bicycle randomly on the footpath and call it bike lane. That's not how planning is done. As per the International Energy Association, in the next 30 years, there will be 60% more cars on the planet. What's the next favorite thing in this country? Let's make everything electric. Everyone gets an electric car. The M25 is the world's largest car park. It doesn't matter, those 60% new cars are diesel or electric. There are not enough lanes to handle that traffic on the roads. We need to think about planning, think about negative externalities. An electric car consumes 7 to 10 kilowatts per day. If each and every UK household moves to an electric car, the UK power grid needs 3 times more capacity. We need to think about shared mobility services. And how do you do that? Combining data across many different agencies, sharing and collaborating across those parties to see what is the impact of one policy decision on the other. We at Snowflake allow customers to seamlessly collaborate data across the ecosystem, regardless of where the data resides in AWS, Azure, and Google. Even if it is 100 terabytes of data, the data can be shared across in a zero-copy fashion in 2 seconds. We are a platform which runs in the cloud across all the three major cloud providers, allowing you to process raster and vector geospatial data at scale. We're talking about Ivan's Mott McDonald presentation about remote sensing and imagery. Whether it is imagery data, whether it is vector data, you can process that at scale. 3 weeks ago, I was running a query for one of our major telecom providers where we were processing 17 trillion ST points in 6 minutes, and the customers were like, I said, I thought you meant to say thank you. So the scale that we bring in is unconditional, and we are able to do a lot more onto the data. Talking about the example, Voi Technologies, a Swedish e-scooter company, has been using Snowflake for a while, and they have been using our different collaboration and geospatial technologies in their stack for a number of years. They were founded in 2018, more than 7 million users, more than 65,000 different mobility services across the continent in 11 plus countries. Millions of journeys a day. And those journeys are planned and routed by the Snowflake technology. I cannot stand here without talking about H3. I don't think I have heard the word H3 that many times in my entire life. So, yes, we have H3, thanks to Carto's toolbox, and you can process them at scale inside Snowflake. What we are doing here for Voi is understanding the demand and supply of the scooters. In the morning, scooters are moving in one direction towards the station. In the evening, they go away. And then sometimes there's a skewness in distribution. And I was talking to the customer, what do you do when scooters are kind of unevenly distributed? They said, oh, we invoke the rebalancer. I said, what's a rebalancer? Oh, it's nothing. It's a truck which collects all the scooters and then disperses it over the city. Because that's how you do, right? Because the mode of travel, direction of travel is one way in the morning, and in the evening it is other way. Hopefully, in the future, who knows, there's self-driving scooters, and then we can press a remote button, zombie scooters traveling all over the city, going left and right. But this is the kind of analysis that you could do, understanding the supply and demand of the data, processing them inside the system. We are humans at the end of the day. We want to do stunts. We would love to do, let's do a little bump here and there. And people don't like it when you get into the pedestrian path. So you want to understand the rider's behavior, what's going on. How do you understand the rider's behavior? So Voi partners with different imagery processing companies. We bring those imagery and understand when I was riding for 2 kilometers between point A and point B, how many times I was where I was not supposed to be. Again, that's the kind of unstructured processing of the data, imagery, and combining all of this together in the platform. More importantly, you can combine this data and aggregate it and send it back to the city planners. You can understand the patterns, what's going on, what are the favorite hotspots, what are the locations people want to go, what is the frequency, what is the trend that we see developing across many different cities. One of the fundamental things around the world we need to think about is how do we move towards this concept of shared mobility and shared ownership? Because what's happening today is unsustainable. I'll use another anecdotal thing here. There are 100 million power drills in the US. Drill machines, DIY, right? The average life of a drill machine is 50 years. It is only used for 20 minutes across those 50 years. You drill it for 5 seconds, put it into a garage, never to be used again. The market is ripe for drill machine as a service. Uber eats, Uber drills. And that's what we need to think about. We can serve the entire continent of North America with 1 million power drills and save those 99 million power drills. And that's the same concept. When my children grow up, it is very likely they will not own a driving license. Maybe DVLA will be in a museum. And that's what we see as the future. Because continuing to own a car which is only driven for 1 hour a day, and for 23 hours a day it is parked outside requires unnecessary additional infrastructure. We need to think about lesser driving, better driving. Think about different kind of shared mobility, whether it is 2 wheels, 3 wheels, doesn't matter. Autonomous concepts would require lesser parking infrastructure. And shared mobility and connecting all of the data from these different sensor devices is going to be the future. You know what is the biggest threat to our planet? The belief that somebody else will come and save it for us. We are the first group of generations here who is feeling the pain of the climate change today. Javier was talking about Spain getting 10 degrees hotter in April. And we are the last generation who could do something meaningful about it. My name is Fawad Qureshi, and I hope you do your part in using your geospatial skills to serve the planet. Thank you.